This is BBC Two. Now, Indelible Evidence dramatises a violent crime and the crucial role of forensic science in bringing its perpetrator to justice. The programme contains some scenes that you may find disturbing.
Earlier in this series, we showed you the case of the bombing of the Greenpeace ship Rainbow Warrior by French Secret Service agents in Auckland Harbour, New Zealand. Now we're going back to New Zealand for another case of murder by bombing, though of a completely different kind. Rainbow Warrior was a terrorist bombing. This one was a domestic affair. No other case that I know shows the incredibly detailed and painstaking labours of forensic teams when they sift through the debris of an explosion, accumulating as they go literally hundreds of tiny clues that may help lead them to the perpetrator. As before, the forensic people and the police play themselves, but the rest of the cast are actors. Names and locations have been completely changed to protect the families, particularly the children of those involved.
No, darling, it's late.
One more program?
Come on, you little heavy.
Oh, you've got a big drive tomorrow. Good night, darling.
Night.
Come on, honey. They're going to have a great time.
I suppose I better pack their bags.
We can do that in the morning.
Oh, my darling. We've been waiting for ages.
Oh, I'm sorry, love. It's been a long drive today. Hop aboard, Trace. Piggyback. Oh, where's Mum?
Inside.
Okay. Oh, Spike. Is there any juice in the fridge, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a long trip. Will you get Robin a drink while I have a talk to Mum?
Oh, no.
Good girl. You want a hand?
I'm fine.
Ah, my little sweetie. What dollies are we going to take with us?
Lucy and Baby Doll.
And Jenny Doll.
No.
Don't forget Jenny Doll. Can't get Jenny Doll, love.
Do you want a coffee?
Why not?
Must have driven fast.
Yeah, left early. Karen got work here?
Yes. Someone's got to pay for your kids.
Kennigaroo. Kidney. Okay, I give up. What is it?
Here.
Of course. How silly of me. Right, my turn. I spy with my little eye something beginning with I. Come on, what starts with the letter I?
Elephants.
Where's the elephant? Give up. It's ice cream.
Notice how quiet it is. There's no one here but you and me. And I think I'm going to be late for work.
Turangi. Ross Street.
Tina, here's one for you.
Mowing his lawns again. Hey, you got those keys?
Sure.
I think I spent too much, you know.
Shocking if you don't spend too much.
G'day, George.
Hi, Margaret.
Kevin, put the phantom bar.
Oh, look, you've got another one.
Oh, good.
Where's it from?
I don't know. Whoever they are, they can't spell my name.
Maybe someone sent you a do-it-yourself divorce kit.
Be cheaper.
What?
I said it'd be cheaper. A do-it-yourself divorce.
Yeah, but would it make it easier?
Hey, do you know Kevin and I are getting married as soon as my divorce comes through?
I guess some people never learn. Open it. Mag.
The devastation at the scene was horrendous. Margaret was dead. Pamela was found injured, lying under a pile of rubble.
God, pause this.
The scene was cordoned off, and we brought in explosives experts, who very quickly established that the explosion was not the result of natural causes. It wasn't the hot water cylinder or the gas-fired central heating. It was an outside explosive brought to the scene.
In the event of any explosion, the first thing to find out is the point zero. That is the place where the explosion actually took place. In this case, the explosion actually took place on the kitchen sink bench.
What have we got there, mate? This envelope here, looks like we've got some blood in this corner here.
Well, it looks like there's a pretty big parcel bin in there of some description.
Yeah.
So from what our explosives experts had told us, and the fact that the envelope had been at the scene prior to the explosion, we quickly came to the conclusion that Margaret may possibly have been killed as a result of a letter bomb. In all investigations, the scene is the major source of information. This scene was no different. But in order to investigate it thoroughly, we decided to draw up a grid search. The grid extended some 40 metres to the back of the section. The furthest point away was 170 metres, where we found a piece of debris from this house itself. The staff on the searches were briefed.
I think this is one
They
for
were
you.
issued with magnifying glasses, tweezers, gloves, exhibit bottles and labels. It was going to be a very slow and painstaking search. Anything they found, anything at all, was photographed, labelled, recorded, and then later categorised by our scientific staff.
Gentlemen, come on through, please.
One of the first people that we suspected was the deceased's husband, Derek. Derek Stevenson?
Yeah, that's right.
Pleased to meet you. I'm Detective Inspector Phil Seaman.
Hello, Phil. My lawyer, John Williamson.
Pleased to meet you, John. He'd taken the children away from the house some 2 days before the explosion, and he'd not contacted the police until some 24 hours after the explosion. Did you know that your wife was living with another man?
Yeah.
What do you think of him?
Not much. Not much one way or the other.
Did you discuss things with your wife?
Yeah, well, we didn't discuss a heck of a lot. It was mainly about maintenance. She wanted me to pay some. I told her I was trying to get on my feet, but I'd try and work something out.
Oh, so you're not paying maintenance at the moment?
Well, not at the moment, no. It's strapped.
I see. Did you argue at all?
No, come over that. Did that when we were married.
Derek, with a homicide investigation, we normally fingerprint the whole house, and as a result we find numerous fingerprints. Would you be prepared to give me your fingerprints?
Yeah, fine.
I would stop there. It's obvious that Derek's fingerprints may or may not be there, but as my client hasn't been formally charged, he's under no obligation to give you his fingerprints.
He's the boss.
We ran the usual ninhydrin tests on the envelope. Ninhydrin develops fingerprints on paper. In fact, it's the best method available. But I wasn't particularly hopeful, as often these surfaces are quite difficult. One set of fingerprints supplied by the police, those of a person who had handled the envelope, I was able to match. But there were 2 other partial fingerprints, both fairly faint, which I had no match for.
As a document examiner and handwriting expert for the police, my first examination of the envelope revealed many potential sources of evidence. There was the pen and inks used, the possibility of linking the stamps on the envelope by their perforation tear pattern to any other stamps located on a suspect. There were the creases and folds on the surface of the envelope and the franking stamp impressions. The handwriting didn't look very promising. It was stilted and uneven and hesitant. I felt overall that it was possibly the writer had used his unnatural hand and that it was likely the disguise employed was going to be effective.
Lambton key, we've got 2 here. That one's too big and that one's too small.
The envelope also had indications of 2 franking stamp impressions. They were extremely faint. Only fragments of ink were visible. I thought it might be possible to reach an identification by elimination. I asked for franking stamp impressions from some 748 post offices. In total, we ended up with over 1,200 impressions.
Well, that one's well out.
Various examination techniques revealed paper fibre disturbance. The bag had been pressured and stretched by whatever was inside it. I could calculate that the contents inside the bag measured approximately 160 millimetres wide by 220 long and approximately 35 to 40 millimetres deep, about the size of a standard hardback library book.
The size of the box, which Hurt had estimated had been carried in the handy bag, would have held exactly 4 sticks of gelignite.
Well, last time I used some was about 10 years ago when I did the sewage in a batch.
And what did you do?
Oh, I blew a sump hole.
And how many sticks would you have used for that?
We used about 3 sticks. I think we used a bit much, yeah.
Is that right?
There it is. Derek Stevenson, Thursday, May.
So you remember selling it to him?
Yes, yes, I've been here all the time, yes. And I know Derek well.
Derek had purchased gelignite and detonators on the 1st of May that year, just before the school holidays.
My father-in-law wanted us to do some work up at their batch, and I was going to use them for that, but a particular weekend we were going down, didn't eventuate, so I just left them stored in the garage.
Are they in your garage now?
No, they're not. No, I burnt them, actually.
You burnt them?
Yeah. Well, I went to a weepy.
Oh, is that right? Yeah. Where did you burn them?
I don't recall whether it was at the back of my garage at the tip.
You don't know where you burnt them?
Well, I'm not sure, no.
Well, it's only been about 4 months ago.
Yeah. Well, it was either at the back of my garage or it was at the tip, yeah.
We asked Derek to take us to the places where he thought he may have burnt the gelignite. He did that, but there was no evidence of any gelignite being burned.
It's a bit of a mess, eh? Where were you guys off to this morning?
We searched Derek's garage, and in the garage we found black blasting powder and detonators. He couldn't give me any lawful excuse for holding those items, so I was able to arrest him for illegal possession of explosives.
Oh, look at this.
Bloody detonators.
Yeah. Relax it as much as possible. Let me move your fingers for you. All right?
On his arrest, we were able to obtain his fingerprints, his photograph, and copies of his handwriting, which were imperative to the investigation.
I've got the blow-ups of the left ring and the left thumb.
I was fairly sure that the fingerprint on the envelope was that of Derek Stevenson. The problem was that both of them were faint and one of them was fairly blurred. I decided that the fingerprints should go to Australia for enhancement methods to be tried that were not available to us in New Zealand at that time.
The fingerprint section had identified 8 points of comparison from the fingerprint obtained from the handy bag and the fingerprints supplied by Derek Stevenson. To obtain the best fingerprint evidence, at least 12 points of comparison were needed. Surely you can see the way the evidence is stacking up against you. If you can't see that, you've got to be stupid. You see, I'm bloody sure that you had an argument with your wife over the kids and maintenance and Kevin. You don't like Kevin, do you? You thought he'd go up with that bomb, didn't you?
But keeping into account we only had the 3 plugs in this. In an effort to confirm my findings, I used 3 sticks of gelignite on a bench of the same materials. I concluded from that 4 sticks of gelignite had indeed been used in the bomb.
There were so many red herrings. The sink bench was stainless steel, and we had literally hundreds of pieces, small fragments of metal. And because it was a bomb, we were looking for pieces of metal. So we had to find every one of those and put them all to one side.
That'd be number 320.
By the end of the first week, we had completed the outside search, and it was picked as clean as a bone. Hundreds and hundreds of exhibits had been found. Each one had been photographed, categorised, entered into a computer, and at the end of each day, a printout given to each searcher to cross-reference with his own notes.
Yeah, 323 so far, so we're not doing too bad.
We had a young officer who was a very good artist, and we asked her to draw up a sketch plan in 3 dimension of the kitchen and the dining room.
Good. What colour was the handle?
Orange, I think.
The idea of this was to eliminate items found at the scene as coming from there in the first place and not being part of the bomb.
So you're clear? As you can see, we're moving all the heavy furniture, and once we get that, we can get down onto a detailed search on the floor.
Once inside the house, the task became more daunting than ever. Everything was covered in insul fluff. The fragments were getting smaller. It was cold. It was so involved that at times they were only completing 1 square foot of searching every 4 hours.
What have we got here?
They could only do it for a very short space of time, and then they'd have to break and release their pent-up feelings by telling yarns or joking with each other, just venting their built-up feelings inside. Right from the first day of the search, we had been finding minute fragments of a particular type of particle board. The first pieces were found in the guttering of the neighbour's house next door, and then numerous other pieces were turning up throughout the house.
Frozen peas, and this looks interesting.
They were in the ceiling, on the shelves, splattered all around the place. The particular thing was that they had a black paint substance on them, which was unusual.
I'll take that. What's the next one?
Exhibits that have been uplifted at the scene were sent to us at the DSIR. Throughout our examination of items from the scene, we were coming across a large number of pieces of solid wood, splinters of wood. However, there were also a large amount of particle board. There's a bit of tape adhering to the blackened surface.
We haven't seen that before, I don't think.
No.
At first we tended to discount them because we probably had the preconceived idea that this bomb would have been in a commercially produced box similar to a perfume box or a cigar box.
Neighbour's property,
it's a bit from
south
the back
boundary.
fence.
Yep, back fence, okay.
We then plotted the points that we had found the pieces of particle board and realised that they could well have come from the point of the explosion.
Now, the particle board. Can you think of anything else in the room that was made from particle board?
No.
There was nothing in the list that Kevin had prepared for us that could account for the particle board found at the scene, so it was safe to adduce that the bomb had been sent in a particle board box, painted black.
Yeah, I've got a bit of connector here. The police had also turned up hundreds of pieces of metal. Piece of wire. We've got some other pieces of connectors, haven't we?
Yeah, we looked at some just a little while ago, didn't we?
We pieced some of them together to form a connector. We were able to establish the make of connector, a German product called Grote & Hartmann. It is not a common brand in New Zealand, but is often used in Volkswagen cars.
By now, we were starting to piece our case together. We knew that the explosives had been sent in a particle board box painted black, that it had contained gelignite, a battery, a switch, and an electric detonator, and that the bomb had been sent in a yellow handy bag, and soon we were to find where the handy bag had been posted from.
By just 2 measurements, we were able to exclude approximately 80% of the specimen stamps examined. Finally, we ended up with just 1 impression that matched, which certainly eliminated all the rest. In total, we had 15 measurements that were consistent between the questioned impression and the specimen franking stamp we had selected. One aspect that particularly interested me was the appearance of letter G. It was printing more like a letter C, top portion missing. Examination of the specimen impressions from the Narapuna post office revealed the same characteristic.
This town was just over a kilometre off the route which Derek said he had taken on that Friday when he had taken his children home. It was about 10 kilometres from his wife's house. Parcels posted at that post office on the Friday were not delivered until the following Monday, the day which the explosion occurred.
I'll get you to jot down the characteristics that we put in, just for the Crown Prosecutor. So, number 4, we'll just put it in there as the results from the enhancing method in Australia were disappointing. However, after continued work on the photographic enlargements of the developed fingerprints, I was able to establish the necessary number of characteristics
Number 5
and able to show that the fingerprint developed on the envelope was that of Derek Stevenson.
We'll put that one in.
We now knew what we were looking for at Derek's house and garage, and we took with us the same search team that we had used at the site of the bombing. During the search of the garage, we found evidence of black paint being sprayed on the bench top and various crimping tools that could have been used to make the bomb. We found a carton of Volkswagen spare parts. It contained Grote and Hartmann connectors of the type used in the bomb. We also found some pieces of particle board of the same grade used in the bomb. We could now piece together what we believed had happened. Sometime before the children's August school holidays, Derek constructed the bomb using the gelignite he had bought from the dairy company, a 9-volt Duracell battery, a detonator, and a Grote and Hartmann connector, one of several he had got from the Volkswagen motor cars he was wrecking. He had posted the bomb on the Friday on his way home to the children, and because it went parcel post, it was not delivered until the Monday.
Here we go, chocolate for Tracy. Hokey pokey for the mouse. Yum, yum.
Good morning, Rosalind. Detective Sergeant Smolenski. I'm here to see Derek. Mind if I come in? Thank you. Derek. Detective Sergeant Smolenski. Detective Stacy. I have a warrant for your arrest for the murder of your wife, Margaret Stevenson. You're not obliged to say anything unless you wish to do so, but anything that you do say may be taken down and given in evidence. Anything to say in answer to the charge?
Right. Okay, I ring my lawyer.
What proof have you got?
Faced with overwhelming evidence of his guilt, the real Derek Stevenson admitted to it and in 1986 was sentenced to life imprisonment. He'll be eligible for parole in 1995. Margaret Stevenson's friend Pamela survived after a long battle for her life. The 2 Stevenson children are being cared for by Margaret's family.
Next week we examine a case from southern Germany in which a body charred beyond recognition is found inside a burnt-out car with everything pointing to murder. Beside the car is the print of a tennis shoe, the one piece of indelible evidence. That's next Friday at 9.